Hello, Ben here. Hope you're all groovy and welcome to Benjy's Cafe podcast. My guest this week is the comedy wordsmith, the comedian Lloyd Hollett. Described by Gyles Brandreth as a linguistic comedy genius, Lloyd has established himself as one of the most unique and original performers in the comedy world today. He has entertained audiences globally for over 30 years and is the host of Europe's biggest Christmas show, Thursford Christmas Spectacular, performing to over 150,000 people every Christmas. Wowzers. He is a veteran of 25 consecutive pantomimes, starring alongside Nigel Havers, Stephen Mulhern, and breaking box office records alongside Strictly's Anton de Beck. He's also one of the UK's most sought-after warm-up men, most recently revving them up on ITV's Deal or No Deal, and in 2023 Lloyd wrote, produced and starred in his third DVD release, 32 Years in Showbiz. In this episode, we discuss Lloyd's comedy inspirations and the crucial role his teachers played in his career, plus the joy of making people chuckle, positivity and kindness, and the impact of laughter on our lives.
I had a guest stop me. He said he'd fought in the war and he still had shrapnel in his leg. This lovely gentleman. He said, I just want to say tonight's just been the first time in a long time I've just forgot about my worries, forgot about my problems. I just laughed so much. It really touched me. It's when you hear things like that, all he's been through, then you realise, wow, that's why we do our job.
Lloyd is very funny and very kind. My kind of egg. This will be lovely. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe podcast, Lloyd Hollett. Good morning, Lloyd. How are you?
Good, but well, I'm not going to top that. Good night and God bless. There you go.
The world's shortest podcast.
There you go. There you go. First time for everything. A lovely intro. Thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm really good. Yeah, the sun's out. We're smiling away. Look at that smile, Lloyd. I love it. I guess every morning's kind of different for you. You seem to be working here, there and everywhere.
I know. A few hours ago, I was in Norway, which I've been for a week, so I've been acclimating to 14 degrees and quite happy with that. So it's quite a culture shock to come here, and it's ridiculously hot. We're never happy, us Brits. We moan when it's cold. We moan when it's hot. Not used to this. But other than that, it's a pleasure to be with you, sir.
Thank you so much for popping into Benjy's Cafe. I just wonder, what is the perfect morning for you, Lloyd?
A red day off. Well, the perfect morning is to do the school runs, to take Ottilie to school, my daughter, and then my wife's normally at work. On a day like this, I would do the gardening. That is my go-to. I've already been out there this morning because I've been away for a week, so it's lovely to see everything flourishing and realising all that needs watering, that needs pruning. So it's my same with my wife. You know, we do love gardening, so that's my little zone.
Oh, I love it. I love my morning stroll. I think the importance of fresh air is wonderful, Lloyd. And actually, interestingly, quite a few creatives have been on the pod. They've said their go-to is just an hour or so in the garden, just so relaxing.
Yeah, it is. It is. We've got it good here.
I think we should instigate a Benjy's Cafe podcast courgette off, Lloyd.
Definitely. I'm more of an Ickium man, Ben. You should see the size of my Ickium. It's about 12 foot. It's huge. I mean, my auntie, bless her, she had loads of them in the garden. They're really tall. They go 12, 50 foot tall sometimes. When my auntie passed away, I made sure I took a cutting from her garden with my dad, and we put them in his back garden, our family home, and they've just flourished everywhere. And I took a cutting a couple of years ago, and it's just taken off. I mean, you can see it from space. It's amazing.
So you can see the Great Wall of China and your back garden. I love it from up there.
Lloyd's Ickium. Oh, yes.
Katy Perry's like, yeah, there's Lloyd's house. There's Lloyd's house. Lloyd, you make so many people happy. My goodness, what a career you have, and you're joyous on stage and off stage. I just wondered, when did you first get that buzz of making people laugh?
Well, I think you're born with it, the funny bones. I don't think it's something you can necessarily decide overnight you want to do, although people do try. I was a big fan of Russ Abbott. I loved him. And my mum would never go on holiday on a plane. She was scared of flying, so we'd always go to Bournemouth for 10 years on the trot. And I remember being 5, 6, 7 years of age, and you'd go to the Bournemouth every year, and you had the Bournemouth International Centre, you'd have the Pavilion Theatre and the Pier Theatre, even the Winter Gardens, and it was entertainment central. You'd have one season you'd have Michael Barrymore at the BIC,
Oh.
you'd have Des O'Connor on a Sunday night at the Pavilion, or Bobby Davro on the Pier. You got Lionel Blair or Les Dennis in a, Vicky Michelle in a farce. Les Dawson was another one I saw there. You got Max Bygraves at the Winter Gardens. My mum and dad would spend a fortune on me. Whatever shows you want to see, son, you go. And I would see all of them in that week. And I remember coming home, 1987, I was 7, and I just saw Russ Abbott, who headlined the BIC, Bella Emberg, Les Dennis.
Oh.
And when the lights went down and the overture kicked off, you get goosebumps when you're used to seeing that on TV on a Friday night at 7:30 and hearing a live orchestra, and then Russ comes out, and it was an incredible show. I came home after that holiday, and they'd just finished filming that TV series of the Russ Abbott Show, which was filmed around Bournemouth at the time, because they were obviously doing the season. So when we watched it come out, this particular series, I was a kid in a sweet shop. I recognised that road, I recognised Boscombe Pier, and all these. I remember they did a sketch called Johnny Don't Go, and he was driving along a motorbike from Bournemouth Pier to Boscombe Pier. Anyway, 1987, we had the big storms of 87. Do you remember Michael Fish famously said, "There's going to be no storm," and then all tits up, it all went hell. And our tree fell down in our playground at primary school, and we had a week off. And they filled in this square where the tree used to be with tarmac, and it was black cement, and it looked like a stage. When I went back to school, it looked like a stage, and I used to stand on this stage in the middle of the playground and pretend it was my stage. And I used to go home, I'd watch the Russ Abbott Show on a Friday night, I'd find my favourite sketch, I'd go upstairs, write it out. If it was 3 characters, I'd write it out 3 times. I never thought of using a photocopier. The next day I'd go back to school and I would cast this sketch, and I'd say, right, you can be Les Dennis, you can be Bella Emberg, that went down well. and we're rehearsing this sketch in the middle of the playground, and a few weeks later, Mr. Murphy, my teacher, walked past. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're doing a little comedy sketch." He said, "Right, Friday, end of class, 3:30, be off script. You can perform it in front of the class." Well, so all of a sudden, and I'm directing these poor kids. You've got to learn this. And if they hadn't learned it the next day, I was really like, "What's wrong with you? You've got to work harder tonight. We've got Friday, for goodness sake." So we did the sketch at the end of class. And so I had my first experience of laughter. And it ended up at the end of that school term, I put all the sketches together and I performed them in front of the whole school, and I had my first one-man show when I was 7.
Oh, my goodness.
And I've still got the footage, which is kind of madness. The confidence, it's just odd.
Yeah, but it's great, isn't it? It's almost like that feeling of you're spreading joy. Did you realise that even at that age, Lloyd, that you're making your classmates happy, and probably your teachers too?
Well, I didn't actually. I didn't. I just was so absorbed in wanting to be Russ Abbott. I wanted to be Michael Barrymore. Those kind of people. I was just so, and I was so lucky looking back. And it carried on into secondary school, because I used to do the Lloyd Hollett show. It was called the Lloyd Hollett Show, and we did a summer show, and I performed, and I would I'd have musicians and dancers and singers. I'd have an overture, and we'd perform it in front of year 7. When I was in year 7 at secondary school, my first year, and it went down so well, the head mistress, who I was so lucky at the time, her name was Christine Chapman, and she was famously married to Ken Livingstone, Mayor of London, ex-Mayor of London. And she said, "I'd like you to do the same show tomorrow in front of the year 8s, if you wouldn't mind." And I'm like, wow. Okay. So all of us, we were like buzzing at this. Well, so I'd do about half an hour. Year 8s would get, they'd miss a lesson. They'd skip a lesson, maths. Their education has been affected because of me. And sometimes, I'd go on a bit. I'd do a bit of a Ken Dodd. Sometimes it would go into 2 lessons. And then it ended up, Wednesday we did it in front of the year 9s, year 10s on the Thursday, year 11s on the Friday. I'm in year 7, and I'm performing in front of, people that are 5 years older than me. And I was doing Michael Barrymore's act. And I used to come out, and I would kick these children out of, I'd open the door, shut the door, right, and carry on. And eventually a couple of minutes later, they'd hobble back in and say, what do you do? I didn't see you could come back in. Off, clear off, for God's sake. What's the matter with you? And the teachers are letting me get away with this. The kids are like they're amazed. And of course, then we'd go into a song. And this went on. We did a Christmas show. We did an Easter show. And I always say, and people say, any advice? I'm like, if any teachers can encourage you, whatever way, if you want to be a performer, whatever you want to do, whether painting or, if Mr. Murphy hadn't have stopped me that day, and saw me doing that and asked me to do that, I wonder if I would have, pursued as quick as I have in my career.
Well, all hail the Mr. Murphys, that's what I say. But you're dead right, that encouragement. And I found performing at school, Lloyd, like my sort of safe place, my happy place. I still am a very long odd fish these days, but I just felt that's where I could really be myself and felt comfortable with those kind of people. Would you say that really helped your confidence as a young person leading into adulthood?
100%, yeah. In a weird sort of way, now you said that, I think so too. I mean, we'd get away with so much, and I kind of had a full circle moment recently. When I stayed in at secondary school, there was an option of when you choose what GCSE subjects you want to do. GCSE drama had never been done. They needed 12 or more to make a go of it. And the drama teacher at the time, Mr. Landerman, said to me, Lloyd, we need 12 or more if we're going to make a go of this. So I kept these term shows going. So I used to get so many people involved, like singers, dancers. Tony Radcliffe used to do the sound. We'd have, Jason Fry on the lights. All these people that were fascinated with performing arts. And it ended up, we did get to, I think we got about 15. So we did GCSE drama. It's ended up when I'd finished my year 11, it became technology college. So they did a performing arts GMVQ, which Mr. Landerman was the head of the faculty. This went on for years. And last year, Mr. Landerman reached out to me. His daughter contacted me on Facebook and said, Barry would like to see you for a coffee, if that's all right. I'm like, oh, Mr. Landerman, oh my God, I've not seen him in years. And he met up with me and he told me, he thanked me. He said, if it wasn't for you, Lloyd, I wouldn't have pursued my career as long as I did. I said, what do you mean? He said, because of your shows, no one was really interested in drama. You got so much interest into it. It enabled us to do GCSE drama, GMVQ performing arts. You kept me there for another 15 years as head of faculty, and it's flourished as a sound with performing arts stage now. And I couldn't actually believe that he was... it took me back. I remember just one afternoon, I used to rehearse so much for stuff we didn't even need to do a show for. I was obsessed with the Paul McCartney, loved Paul McCartney, Young Boy, when he bought Young Boy. I'm just a young boy looking for a way to find love. And I'm playing this in the hall at 2 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. My sound guys blaring. I'm singing along. I'm not singing. Well, I'm singing live, but I'm miming to a guitar. I can't play a guitar, but I've got a guitar and I'm just playing along. And I remember Christine Chapman. It was so loud. She'd come in. Will you turn that bloody sound down? And she shut the door. And I didn't even do it in a show. I was given time to rehearse these spectaculars.
Do you find, Lloyd, that I think when I was sort of acting full time, it's all about the hustle and the highs and lows, looking for the next job. And it's very easy to forget, isn't it, that what we do, what we kind of put ourselves through, because it is bloody tough, that we do make a difference. We really make a difference to people's lives and happiness. And I hope you realise that, because you certainly do.
Well, I have, thank you. It's easy to forget that, isn't it? It's easy to just go along the run of the mill and just, moan about the travelling and how little we're home and how we don't see much of the family. And, I do a lot of cruises, and like I said, just come off one last week. And in when you think about it, in a weekly cruise, I do 2 shows, 2 separate 45-minute shows. Now that's a joy to be in Iceland and in these amazing cruises. People forget you're always on show.
Yeah.
So when you come out your cabin, whether you have breakfast, lunch, dinner, you're having breakfast, lunch, dinner with the audience that you've entertained. So you can't be miserable. And so it's not like putting on a front, because you are who you are. But we are reminded that I had a guest stop me on a Viking ship a couple of months ago now. Maybe it was last month, I think. I did a post about it on Instagram, and he said he'd fought in the war, and he still had shrapnel in his leg, and he had a little Zimmer frame helping him to get through. This lovely gentleman, and he said, "I just want to say tonight's just been the first time in a long time I've just forgot about my worries, forgot about my problems. I just laughed so much." And I did a selfie with him. It really touched me. It's when you hear things like that, all he's been through. And he said, "Can I have a picture with the Wordsmith?" And he for a gentleman like that in his 80s, "Can I have a photo with the Wordsmith? I want to send it to my grandkids," you know. And that was like, then you realise, wow, that's why we do our job.
The start of your act, the comedy can. Like, look, if you can find it on YouTube, I think it should be on YouTube somewhere. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it is.
But my goodness, you mentioned, your heroes growing up, Russ Abbott, Michael Barrymore. Somehow, Lloyd crams in, must be hundreds. It's amazing. All these wonderful acts from this wonderful, rich tapestry of comedy. How long did that take you to piece together? And out of all of those heroes and comedy idols in there, who is your favourite?
Well, there's 132 in 2 minutes. Gosh. Well, I mean, Brian Conley. I always loved Brian Conley as a kid, and again, it's a summer season thing. I went to my uncle was staying in Weymouth at the time. I went to stay with my uncle, and Brian was playing Weymouth Pavilion. Went to see him at the end of his summer season, the last night, and I'm waiting to get his autograph, and it was the last night of a summer season, so there's a lot on his mind. And we waited and waited. He come out, and he was so lovely. He really was. He gave me all the time in the world. I remember I had about 8 different leaflets in my hand. "Can you sign one of these?" And he signed all of them. He was just so nice and charming. My mum had a few theatre brochures. He signed them all. And I remember Hilary O'Neill was his support act. And
wow.
and I had a picture with her. And later on went to, she came to my wedding. We did panto together. That's full circle. It's surreal. But Brian's up there. I love Barry Humphries. Big fan of Dame Edna. That kind of, it's not me. It's someone else. It's the character. And I have to say, mentioning Dame Edna, there's a brilliant, wonderful artist, Myra Dubois. Well, I did panto with Myra in Bromley a few years ago. Just genius. It is like, she's so unique, so funny, and it's got that genius, that character, the wit, check out Myra. She's touring the UK. So,
how quickly, when you entered the circuit, Lloyd, did you have a set act? How quickly could you learn or have the bank of material to adapt to different audiences? Because that's a real skill, I imagine.
Well, it is, and you can never stop learning with that. You can never stop there, because you can never have the same act. I when I started out, I was doing Butlins, Pontins, Haven, and then you go on a Morella cruise, or a P&O cruise, and all of a sudden you've got a late night show where you can be blue if you wish. So they kind of expect you to be. Now, I don't swear. When I do a late show, I don't swear. And ironically, I've had cruise directors come up and say, "So, Lloyd, you're going to swear tonight?" I'm like, "No, I don't swear." well, this is what you're contracted to do. Well, maybe so, but you're not going to get that out of me.
Yeah.
So believe me, you're going to get a blue show, but I'm not going to swear. And I've seen some of them kind of roll their eyes, and then, I go and do 45 to an hour late without swearing, and the audience love it. And I've grown up with the likes of Bob Monkhouse, and he has to be up the top there. If you ever, I'm sure you have, some of his shows that recorded at Lakeside, they're on YouTube. He doesn't swear at all. I mean, he's filthy. I mean, it's disgusting, some of the stuff. But he doesn't swear. And I like that. I'm a big fan. I discovered a brilliant American comic recently called Nate Bargatze. And he's hosting the Emmys this year. So he's you're going to hear more and more about him. And he's doing a world tour at the moment. He came to Hammersmith Apollo a few weeks ago. I went to book tickets. It had sold out. I was heartbroken. Unbeknown to me, they put a new date in, a matinee performance on the same day. I got front row, middle of the stalls on my own. I've never got to the theatre on my own. I went, I loved it. He had 3 support acts, all American. None of them swore. He was brilliant. He didn't swear, and he's known for. He doesn't even go down the smutty road. He's not crude up, but he's so funny. He's got 3 Netflix specials, and I love that people inspire you all the time.
What I loved about your act, Lloyd, was it's genuinely just very funny, and like you say, no smut. Like, you can dip into that, I'm sure, when you have to and need to, but it's very funny. I imagine it crosses all ages as well. From your panto experience, does that help as well? Like maybe tailoring a little bit to the kids as well as the adults?
Oh, very much so. I mean, I did about 15 years for Evolution pantomimes, which is where I met Rita, your good lady. We had such a laugh with that. But Paul Hendy, as a producer and a director, he's all about no smut. He crams it in so much. There would be times when, because I did 10 years with Ben Roddy, who's, as you know, is the best dame in Canterbury. He's like just marvellous. You know, he filled Dave Lee's shoes wonderfully. Yeah. And a lot of heart for that man. But together we're like naughty schoolboys. And put Rita in the occasion. It was like, nuclear. How we got away with some of the stuff I have no idea. But Paul Hendy would always, no, boys, come on, you can't do this. You know, I'd often come up, say something would happen. And I'd ring Paul, I'm so sorry, I want to apologise before you get the show report. What was it? I remember the first panel, there was a woman in the audience waving at, imagine flashing fingers that they sell in the auditorium. And she's waving it in my face the whole show, so off-putting. And it was like a 3-show day. I'd just done 2, and I'm doing a third. And don't you give me the finger. How'd you like if I came down there and gave you the finger? No. And you can hear the oxygen being sucked from the auditorium. I come up, Paul, I'm so sorry. I just, what have you done? I said this, I didn't mean it. I'm very clumsy. I don't mean to put my foot in it.
And moving from Panto to Thursford as well, up in Norfolk there, I mean, what a huge show that is. That must be joyous, making so many, literally thousands upon thousands of people happy at Christmas.
It's incredible. It is. I mean, it amazes me the people that have not heard about Thursford. You know, it's been going for 44 years, I think, 45 years. It's the biggest Christmas show in Europe. You know, we have like a 38-piece orchestra, 50 singers, 50 dancers. It's the longest stage in the country. And if you love Christmas, it's just incredible. It's in a world of its own. And people forget it's more than just a show. People need to get there hours beforehand, because I always say it's like walking onto the set of Santa Claus the movie. As soon as you approach from miles before you get there, you see these like white beams of light in the sky, like the bat searchlight for Batman. And what's that? What's going on? And you as you approach, you realise, oh, this is Thursford. And then you rock up in the car park, and then you've got all these Christmas shops, and you've got like merry-go-rounds outside, Christmas rides and restaurants, and then you come in this beautiful purpose-built venue with carousels. There's carousels built into the stage, and it is amazing. I've kind of learned over the years, when you put yourself in that environment as a host and compere doing comedy, you're gonna open yourself up to people that are not necessarily fans, because we play to, as you mentioned, a lot of people. And of course, comedy, you never please everyone. But doing Thursford, it's the first time I've kind of experienced, 98% of people love you, but those that don't, they go out their way to let you know, whether they message you privately on Instagram or go out their way to find your email address or your website. So you kind of open yourself up. But when you put yourself on it, you've got to become thick-skinned.
Yeah.
And because we don't want to, I don't want to upset anyone. Nobody wants to be upset, but it's a very different world, Thursford. It's I always say it's 9 weeks we're there, and it's so magical. But I do love it.
Well, if you see a tall elf at the back of the audience, that'll be me coming to say hi, Lloyd. So give us a shout out.
Last year, I remember I opened with a joke, and I put it in. I purposely chose this joke. It's an old Max Miller joke. I mean, he did it in like a music hall variety show on BBC years ago, and I thought, if Max Miller can do this joke in like the 50s, I can put it in a Christmas show. So here's the joke, Ben. So there's three women at a bus stop. One turned to the other one and said, I remember 80 years ago when tomatoes were that big for a penny. And the second woman said, well, I remember when cucumbers were that long for tuppence. And the third woman said, I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about. So, in my mind, oh, what a good gag, right?
Oh,
so,
God.
Of course, we open, oh, this is disgraceful, I've been coming to Thursford for 80 years, I've never... Of course, I got to lose the gag. Of course, it's interesting that what I thought, I genuinely thought, that's fine.
Yeah.
And my bosses thought, that's fine. They were saying to her, I can't believe people are... a very small percentage of people are going out their way to, either email or write letters. People still do that.
There's a certain section of society who love a good moan, and unfortunately, those sort of people aren't on my Christmas card list, Lloyd.
It is hard to deal with it. I know. It is tough. It is bizarre. Someone I was speaking to a brilliant lady, Carrie Garrett, who's a vocal speech therapist who's helped me when I've had vocal trouble over the years. And she says they do courses now online for people to have kind of training to learn to deal with this kind of negativity, because we're not built for that. We're not psyched up for this. We're not built for negativity. And if people, you can see it with famous people. I said, my God, imagine being famous on a grand scale, like the Royal Variety Performance. That's a fine example. Oh. Every year, whoever hosts it, they get slated. And Amanda Holden, all praise to her, she did a brilliant post, because she hosted it with Alan Carr the last time. She we had a brilliant night. It was brilliant. We all had standing ovations. The King was happy. And it goes out. And then Alan was terrible. Amanda was the worst host ever. And she did a screenshot of the year before with Bradley Walsh. She had the same. The year before, whoever, and it's like endless negativity. How do you deal with it if you're not used to this? Yeah, it's very bizarre in this world of social media.
Oh, and as a performer as well, you get that immediate response, don't you, on stage, and you come off thinking, I've nailed it. The audience, the live audience there have had a wonderful time. But yeah, when it goes to broadcast, I guess, evenings like that, you just don't know what they're going to think. But I think the key is, I guess, to hold on to that immediate feeling of what you've got off a live audience, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. That is. I always say, and every time I do a show, I said, comedy, you're never going to please everyone. But I say, if I've come out here tonight and made 95% of you smile, chuckle, forget about your worries, your woes, whatever problems you've got in life, my job is done, and I will leave the stage tonight a happy guy. I say, you put on the news, it's a horrible world we're living in tonight. You don't need me to tell you that. If you put things into perspective tonight, we've come in here, we've switched everything off for an hour, and we've had a good laugh. And I say that at the end of every show. And I think it makes people realise, actually, he did a Max Miller joke about cucumbers, actually.
Yeah, it's like, come on, let's get the balance here, my goodness.
Yeah.
I remember watching as a child, just chortling away with my grandpa, Tommy Cooper, Morecambe and Wise, all the greats, all the legends. And I think that gave me a real, good little foundation of, enjoying a chuckle, having a laugh, and realising the importance of having fun. I just wondered where you get your zest from, Lloyd. Would it be from grandparents, parents, just that... with their nice memories of just laughing with family? I think that's just a wonderful, wonderful place to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. My parents have always been so supportive of everything I've done, going back to treating me in Bournemouth to all those shows. And they never forced me to do anything. They never tried to steer me in a certain direction. They kind of knew that I knew what I wanted to do from an early age. They were so supportive. They'd always be there. I remember I did Oliver. It was the very first professional show I ever did, the Theatre Royal Margate. And even when I wasn't, my mum would obviously come and see the show, but when she couldn't see the show, she'd rock up at the side of the stage door and put her ear to the stage door, listening, knowing that her son was there. And just that kind of ethos is magical and priceless.
Do you find that, if you're having a low day or a slightly lower period than usual, because life is bonkers and busy, isn't it? My goodness, especially as a dad working away like yourself. Do you find that comedy can really help you? Do you find that actually doing your act can lift you to a happier place? And I imagine it must be so rewarding when you've come off stage thinking, I've actually made like myself feel a bit better about life as well.
Oh yeah, very much so. It is a therapy. It's amazing. It's on 2 nights ago, it was my brother Dean, one of my many brothers. He passed away 2 years ago. COVID killed him, bless him. But he wasn't ill. He wasn't. It was just like died in the family home, and I discovered him with my mum. So it was quite. Any death is horrible, but that was kind of. He was only the age of 50, so that was a bit shocked. And it was his birthday on the 16th. And it wasn't until the actual day you realise I wasn't aware that was his birthday. Someone reached out, so I'm thinking of you tomorrow. I'm like, what's happening tomorrow? And then okay. And then it got to the 16th, and it was a weird. I'm away on my own. I'm like, all these memories come back. You're thinking of your brother, and I had a show to do that night, and it was a bit of a weird downer day, feeling a bit down, but. As soon as I went out on stage that night, the audience was so incredible. Even Tara, the assistant cruiser, said to me yesterday morning, she said, I've never known such an atmosphere, like everyone was with you from the get-go. It was such an electric... And I because of that, it fed me the energy. It was like having 10 cans of Red Bull. And I come off stage feeling absolutely amazing. And I dedicated the show to Dean, and we did a little cheers to him, sung a song to him. But it is therapy. It really is. Yeah, for sure. And because last year with Thursford, and before that, you mentioned Deal or No Deal, I never had a day off. I was working so much, so I purposely took January and February off this year just to be with the family, which was amazing. But I must admit, I had one gig at end of February. It was Potter's, and it was such a great night. And I come off stage and I was, why am I not doing this every night? I should be touring every night. I should be gigging, because you realise that's the drug. You need that. Because I hadn't had it for a couple of months. Boy, I missed it, and I craved it so much. So it's fair enough taking time off, but you need that drug.
Yeah, it's such a balance, isn't it? I love my hit at Christmas, of being on stage. As much as I love my work-life balance at the moment, I think if you're built a certain way and you are a creative and you just love the joy of being with a good company of like-minded people and just hearing that swell of laughter from a crowd, it's pretty rare with me, Lloyd, I have to say. But when I do get it, it is a reminder of this is my happy place. And likewise for you, I imagine, you mentioned needing that drug, but I imagine being at home as well with your lovely family, that must be a lovely leveler for you as well.
It really is. A joy for me is sitting on a couch on a night, with my family, and we have a great night with Ottilie. Ottilie goes to bed, and me and my wife would just sit on the couch and watch something. We're into Endeavour at the moment, the prequel to Inspector Morse. We've got 2 left, so we're on the last season 9, and we'll do the penultimate one tonight and the last one tomorrow. And it's that's our go-to. I actually wanted to ask you, because I know you pride yourself on how long you've been sober now. I've often been tempted to just, because there were times during lockdown when we'd have a bottle of Prosecco every day. A lot of people did, but then there would be months when we didn't, and just then you do dry January, and then it's like the social media. It's like giving up Facebook and Instagram for a month and seeing how you do. I'm fascinated. I know you've said so much. The benefits of it, but how would you sum it up in a nutshell? The change.
It is absolutely joyous. It's been life-changing for me, Lloyd. The business. I toured for 25 years. It's very sociable, finishing a show, and the go-to, it's like the unwritten law. Meet you in the pub, meet for a few pints, 4 quick-fire pints before last orders, off you go to your dodgy digs. Boom. Day after day after day. I did that for probably 25 years, and you know what? I was just beginning to feel so grey, so sluggish, losing my spark, losing that feeling that I used to get from being in front of an audience, and how good that felt. That was my life. It was beginning just to take over, and it just wasn't good for me health-wise. I was 50 last week, and it's just given me a real boost health-wise, but mentally, Lloyd, like it's made me more creative, more sociable, given me more energy, and just it's kind of just amplified me, but I swear to God, it's the best thing I've done, and it's helping me see life even brighter than I used to. And I think that's great. And that was 2 years ago, and best thing I've ever done. And weirdly, what I love on stage at Panto as well, when I'm on stage, it's given me more creativity, more confidence, and it's just a lovely feeling knowing that even if life is tough, and I can deal with things better, I can cope with life better, the lows that, you know, being creative can bring. And yeah, it's just, for me, it's just been brilliant. And now my little treat is a zero beer and getting into bed with spelling bee, and waking up, you know, early and just embracing each day. It's kind of been wonderful for me.
That's amazing. Good for you. You know, I still can't get my head around the disappointment that some people have when you don't have a drink. And I never drink or drive. You know, if I say we're going to a party and I won't even have one, because I feel pissed if I have one. I'm quite a lightweight, so I'll have the zero beers, or you know, and some people get so have one. No, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'll go on. Oh, misery guts. No.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Why does it have to be a thing?
Yeah, people love to question it, and my goodness, but you know, I was at another weddings, and likewise another big occasion navigated with zero alcohol. I posted actually the following day, just like I could embrace the happy couple. I wasn't looking around for the wine waiter with the plonk, you know, mid vol-au-vents, and just knowing I could have a good boogie, give it my Mick Jagger, and wake up clear-headed, ready for another good day afterwards. You make a lot of people happy. I imagine your family must be so proud of you, and it's just lovely to wake up feeling like, you know what, I'm doing good here.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that sometimes. What we do, our job, and it's. But you're right. We need to, realise what we do, and you know, the people that we make happy, we try to make happy, and same with you, my friend, with your positivity with your podcast. It's brilliant. I love it.
Oh, thanks, Lloyd. You're a good sausage. I just love to end a little chin waggio with I spotted on your socials, on the social media, that you'd written a lovely poem that you posted the other day. I just would love to read the last line, because I think it's just beautiful. And it is, let's all try to love and give peace a chance. I love that. I love the thought behind that, just what it means to me. If we could all be like that, just even every day, just once a day, just see the good in somebody, say hello to somebody, say good morning, just make a little bit of difference. Life would just be a hell of a lot easier and brighter, wouldn't it?
100%. And you don't know what anyone's going through. I remember when my brother passed away, I went on a ship a couple of weeks later, and I was on my own, and I got in on the elevator, and a lady said, "Good morning." She was American. "Oh, you're right." And she said, "You got a lovely personality," she said, you know. And she didn't know I was a performer. She didn't know I was on board to work, and she just had a lovely, and that really lifted me. And I saw her a few times, saw her in the laundry room. "Hello, how are you again? How are you now?" Just going for a little walk. "Morning." And it's so uplifting, and I try and carry that forward, whether I'm walking to the shop, the post of "Morning, how are you? Nice to see you." It can make a huge difference if you can put a smile on someone's face every day. That's then the world's a better place.
Oh, 100%. Well, you put a huge smile on my face today, Lloyd. I love it. What a beautiful start to the day. One last question.
Yes.
Your voice, your singing voice, is wonderful. I imagine you do an odd number during Panto, or even, I'm not sure if you sing during the Thursford show, but wow.
Well, it's starting out with these variety greats, the Russ Abbotts, the Michael Barrymores, who would sing, Des O'Connor, Bruce Forsyth, and I would just always sing since I was a kid. And some people say that you're a comedian, you're not allowed, you can't sing, you can't do both, but I find it helps your act, because you can do so much more. I do sing in Panto. I do. It's funny with Panto I did with Rita when I was Dr. Heather Flumpenstein. I remember Paul said, "We've got a solo in Act 2. What are you going to do?" And the standards that had done the rounds. And I said, "No, I want to do Supremacy by Muse." Like, "What? Oh, that's a big song, Lloyd." And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to do it." He's like, "No," I said, "I think it's too big, it's too big." And they invited us round for dinner, me and Danny. We went round his house. I downloaded a backing track, and I remember I got my laptop out and I played it in his kitchen. And I sung it full out in his kitchen. And Emily, his wife, said, "Are you going to keep that up 90-odd shows?" "Yeah, totally fine." And they went for it. And of course, when I came out, here I now, and it was so, and it was that because it goes falsetto. It was so. Oh, they put the echo on, and people, I didn't know he could sing. I love that kind of. I remember I saw Bradley Walsh when I was young. He did an hour of stand up at the Theatre Royal Margate, and he finished on That's Live. And I kind of walked. I didn't know he could sing. I kind of like my audiences having that feel with me, really.
Lloyd Hollett, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you, Ben. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the wonderful Lloyd Hollett, the Comedy Wordsmith. Don't forget, a fresh new episode of Benjy's Cafe podcast drops every Tuesday. Just find us wherever you get your podcasts. Give Benjy's Cafe a follow so every episode gets sent straight to your phone. Tell your friends, tell your family, and if you can, please do leave a review. Next week, I'm joined by the director Damien Sandys. He's great. I can't wait. Oh, that rhymed. I'll get the kettle on. Have a great day.